So Edward, in the last couple of days, I really got to know. And I know you're a type of person that doesn't speak for himself, lets others speak for him. Somebody needs to speak for Qommodity and the plans they have. And I really want from you to tell me a little bit of how you see Qommodity now and how you see Qommodity in 5 years from now.
Well, Qommodity is doing something completely new in a very traditional marketplace. So that means that I need people around me who are very capable to understand where this is going. And that takes from these people trust, vision, perseverance. And that's something that I need to bring them with me on my journey. And at this stage, that's not so easy to do. Although the team currently is very convinced of the route that we are taking, the journey that we are going to make in the next few years, which will lead to the biggest transition of wealth in the history of mankind. So where we are going in the next few years is that people are going to understand what we are doing in this traditional marketplace, how the system of environmental, social and governance is working throughout our whole concept, and that we actually can create a wealth in a way that has never been done before.
I love it, but in order for people to understand their vision, there's one more important thing to tell them. Explain them your background, since when you are in Africa, what Africa changed in you, and how you want to change Africa. Because the story behind it will always tell the truth about the people in front of the camera.
In 2009, I ended up here in Africa. It changed my life. With what I saw every day, made me look at life in a complete different way. I lost all my interest for material things, basically. I saw the struggle of people on a daily basis. And I start to think about a way that we could make it happen, that people in this beautiful country, with these tremendous resources, could get access to this wealth.
So basically, the wealth we are talking about before, it's not material wealth.
No, the wealth that I'm talking about is a human factor in wealth. That's what I'm talking about.
I know.
And every child in this country should have access to good health care, should have access to food, clean drinking water, education. And although we are living in one of the richest countries here in the world, these people don't have access to this wealth to sustain their basic needs.
So what you told us until now will change Africa forever. My question is, how the people around you that you met here in Africa, how did they change your life?
The honesty of the people, the real life, the daily struggles, the happiness, the gratitude of these people is tremendous. But also their resilience, their absolute thrive for a better life. And that's something that got to me.
So for you, Qommodity, it's not only a company, it's a vehicle that will change the perspective of the world upon Africa, right?
Qommodity definitely is going to change the face of Africa, the way that we're looking at it. Qommodity will make for sure that the vision of wealth distribution and access to wealth can change not only the face of Sierra Leone, but indeed the face of Africa.
Can you tell me how you divided the tokens inside Qommodity and what is your plan with them on a long term, please?
The tokens within Qommodity currently are held by most of it by the company. The company will reinvest the wealth which is made with these tokens in new projects in order to keep on progressing the growth of the QAAA and keep on increasing the wealth that we can add to the QAAA. And that's for all stakeholders involved. So it's not only for the people in Sierra Leone, but it's for all stakeholders involved. And that means also people who believe in us. You know, a Qommodity is not only a company, it's a movement. It needs to be a movement. It needs to be a movement for the better, for the change, for humanity, for the environmental part of our cause. And through blockchain technology and with these tokens, where we can make this wealth grow because we are unlocking untapped resources, it means that everybody will benefit in this whole process.
You talked about multiple projects and untapped resources. Can you tell us a little bit of an insight about what is going to join Qommodity in the near future?
Well, if you look at Qommodity, and that's why we chose this name also carefully, it's all about natural resources. And it doesn't matter what kind of natural resources that are. It can be gold, coltan, silver, tin, iron ore, which is all in ground. But we're talking about also, for example, water project, water resources. It can also be agriculture. It can be cattle breeding. It can be forestry. But it definitely is also, for example, energy, where we have a focus on an energy source which is completely natural, and where we can make for sure that, for example, here in Sierra Leone, where 80% of the people still today have no access to energy, that they can get access to it through our decentralized energy project. So everything that we're doing needs to be connected to natural resources, which are already in place, like I just mentioned, but for example also carbon credits that we can create to compensate emissions which are caused by industrial complex.
So basically, Qommodity is different from any other company because it doesn't want to take resources from the world, from the earth. It wants to use them to make a better living condition, right?
Yes. The basic thought is of Qommodity and the QAAA is the monetization of in-ground natural resources. So what we don't do is what miners are doing. We are also not miners. We never had the ambitions to become miners. What standard happens in countries like this is that they invite investors. These investors come into the country. They open up the land, so they're going to cut down the trees. They are destroying the landscape. They are taking the resources out, for example, gold in this example. They mine it. They pay the country a nickel and a dime, in this case 3% over the value of its gold, and they take the wealth out of the country. And what they leave is a ravaged landscape. They took the wealth. In many cases they still have to move out communities because they are in the way of this production. And that's exactly what we don't do. So what we do is monetize in-ground the asset. With that money, we stimulate social projects on that same land, like for example forestry, agriculture, cuckoo plants, or whatever it is. And because we don't touch nature, we are able to create carbon credits because we still have this nature in place, and with that we can do the compensation of emissions.
Okay. Where do you see the company in 5 years? Where do you see the people around you in 5 years? And when do you see yourself in 5 years?
The company in 5 years, I am absolutely convinced that we will be the largest natural resource company in the world. And if I take a very bold challenge, then it won't only be the biggest natural resource company in the world, but the largest company in the world, period. That's the ambition. That's what I'm looking at. The people around me, who are definitely close to me, they will absolutely understand what we're doing, and they have seen something happening, what they could have never thought that it was possible. The people who are a little bit more distant from us, for example, our investors or journalists who are looking at what we are doing, they will be astonished about the different perspective that we used in order to capitalize these untapped resources. So in a few years from now, the people around me, they will have been part of this tremendous change. The world found out that you can monetize resources in a different way without being destructive. And I hope that I can take a little step back from the pace that I'm doing every day right now.
Power or love?
Love.
Having or giving?
Giving.
Respect or friendship?
Respect.
Tell me what is Qommodity in 3 words.
Love, respect, and giving.